Well, well, well. I found another butthurt Marvel fan. I feel sorry for you, my friend, because you walked into a trap. Philip McGinnis. He obviously was butthurt that I showed Dildo Head. I'm sorry, buddy. That's just the way it is. And then he goes into denial and talks about how great his life is. Which doesn't matter to me. But these are the things he said, which, unfortunately for him, only leads me to make a response video. He said, "You're defending shit movies when you should stand against what they're doing to improve your DCU. A true fan wouldn't support bullshit just cause of the initials on the front." In other words, he's saying the brand, just because it's DC, doesn't mean you support it. Okay. Remember that. Just because it's DC, you shouldn't support it. You should support things with substance. And he says, you can't argue the substance of them lame-ass movies. In other words, he's saying that the DCU movies that came out have no substance in them. He then goes on to say, he says, loved the Batman cartoons as well as Superman, Young Justice and all that, but the DCU seemed like a ridiculous cash grab that ruined DC. He said it seemed like a ridiculous cash grab. Remember that? And then finally he says, we know what's better and enjoy being entertained. He and his son, that is. Not bored stiff. I said, well, look, if you like that, maybe you should check the CW then. Same generic stuff you'd be entertained by. He says, nah, I'll stick to Marvel on Netflix. Then he says Cap and Iron Man surpass Bats and Soup as the greatest heroes in the world. He's definitely a Marvel fanboy. The funny thing about it is, it seems as though anything with a Marvel logo on it, you support. That's what you're basically saying. Contradicting your accusation of me, you're really projecting yourself onto me. And I'll prove that very simply. The Avengers came out in 2012. Fantastic movie. Because it was novel at the time. We had not seen a superhero team-up in which each of the superheroes had unique features and they weren't dressed in a uniform code like the X-Men. And they didn't always get along. The poster that you saw there was unique at the time. We had never seen a poster looking like that. Even though it was a very literal poster, it was still unique. However, it is no longer unique. No, some committee of Disney has taken that poster and replicated it twice, 3 times. Because I have forgotten Civil War is also another Avengers film. 3 times after that. It's the same generic shit. You got the enemy, got Iron Man in the center, then you got the rest of the team around him. It's just more members in this one, Infinity War, but it's the same generic poster. But hey, posters are posters. That has nothing to do with the movie, right? That doesn't mean that they're cash grabbing on you. It doesn't mean that you're being hoodwinked. It doesn't mean that the substance is just a repeated formula of the same thing. Lazy writing. Low quality production work. Oh no. Let's look at the trailers, shall we? Right, Mr. McGinnis? You accuse me of anything with a DC logo on it, I'll support, even if it's garbage. See these 2 here? They're garbage. They're garbage. There's nothing unique and innovative about them. Go to the DCU, watch their posters. Their posters actually mean something. Their posters actually are creative and different. But nobody goes and watches posters, right? Let's look at the trailers. You're hyped about Infinity War, right? So unique and fresh and, oh my God, look at that stuff. Makes your imagination go wild. That's why the trailer begins with New York City. All of them. Then, of course, in clockwork fashion, the big baddie is introduced. You hear him talking in one of the trailers. Loki said something very true. You were made to be ruled, Philip McGinnis. You are Marvel's bitch. Ultron had some really cool lines, though. No doubt about it. He talked about hope and how he would snuff out the hope of mankind. I thought it was really pretty cool. Then he said there's one path to peace, mankind's extinction. And then he says something that we see in Civil War with Zemo. He says, I will tear the Avengers apart from the inside. And he had the Avengers pit themselves against each other. Not that it was a unique principle or anything, but he had the Avengers going at each other for a while. Kind of like Zemo. Non-original idea. Poor storytelling. Bad plot. But hey, a bunch of action. Yeah! And Avengers Infinity War has the weakest of weakest villains I've ever seen. Oh no, actually Zemo beats him back. But we have Thanos. Dickhead. Dildo head. And he says, the end is near. When I'm done, half of humanity will still exist, as all things should be. Boring as hell. He has a flat, boring voice. He looks like a dildo. And Hellboy. And he has orcs as his army. That's the big baddie. But anyway, that's the pattern. And then after the big baddie, they have the plan. Usually a very simplistic plan. What do? Says Agent Coulson. We get ready, Nick Fury says in Avengers. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Ultron's kicking their ass. And they say, so we are here. Nothing but a wit and will save the world, so stand and fight, says Nick Fury as his pep talk comes through. Yeah, just stand and fight. The same thing he was doing all the time, but yeah, do more of it. Captain America Civil War. What do? Falcon says. We fight, says Captain America. They can't even come up with unique lines for their trailers. That's the same line we saw in the Avengers film, in the Avengers Age of Ultron. The same lines. The trailers are not unique. The cash grab is the MCU. Yeah. Avengers Infinity War rips off Justice League. We have one advantage. We have what Thanos wants. He's coming to us, and that's what we will use, says Iron Man. To which Star-Lord says it's a bad plan. That's a rip-off of Bruce Wayne saying that we will use Steppenwolf's power against him, which was the Mother Box to revive Superman. But in that case, they were actually debating it. There's no debate here. It's just jokes. After that, you see massive damage and death. In Avengers, New York City was destroyed. In Avengers Age of Ultron, Sokovia and South Africa were wrecked. And after that, and Thor 2 and Iron Man 2, where there was massive damage in London, damage in New York, and Iron Man, where there was massive damage in New York, they finally came to say, well, we need some accountability for the Avengers. So sign these Sokovia Accords. And they signed it, and yet in Avengers Infinity War, Wakanda is going to get wrecked. Don't forget Thor Ragnarok was wrecked in another universe as well. I'm just saying. At least in Spider-Man, lives were saved. And in Doctor Strange, lives were saved, and things were reversed. But, I mean, come on, man. What's up with the massive damage? And then after that, what do they have? Avengers clashing with one another. And so in Infinity War, you're going to see Avengers clash with one another. In fact, the very first Avengers film, you see Thor facing up against Captain America, Iron Man. And in the trailers, you see Thor clashing with Captain America. In Avengers Age of Ultron, the Hulk is clashing against Iron Man. In Captain America Civil War, Iron Man is clashing against Captain America. This is typical clashing thing. They always clash, right? It's nothing unique. So Captain America Civil War was not unique to the Avengers. But hey, fanboys gonna say, stay alert. Y'all buy into the bullshit. Avengers Infinity War. We see here Thanos clashing with Captain America. Oh, and everybody's like, oh, Captain America's actually fighting against Thanos. He must have some kind of powers. No. Nope. Nope. He's going to get his ass whooped. He has nothing against Thanos. It's just Thanos going up against him. That's it. Okay? That's it. And Thanos is a guy who's going to whip his ass. Alright? Just like how he whipped Spider-Man's ass. But somehow, Spider-Man got away. Then we see the team shot of the Avengers. We've seen it. Team picture. And we see it for Age of Ultron. We see it for Civil War. We see it for Infinity War. Don't know how Cap, Black Panther, the Winter Soldier, and the Hulk, how they're running at the same speed of everybody else. They should like blitz everybody. And they're going as hard as they can, you know. Makes no sense because they have super speed. So why is it that they're even, Black Widow's even running with them? It makes no sense, but it is what it is. And then they end with a joke. They end with a joke. It's formulaic. It's the same thing since Avengers. They end with a joke. Alright? It's the same nonsense. Over and over and over again. Which I'm saying to you, you're saying that, you know, just looking at the trailers, they're formulaic. They're formulaic with costume design. They're formulaic with set design. They're formulaic with everything done by committee. Everything done by committee. So there's only so much. And we know this from Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon said he wanted to do some other things, have some other people die in Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron. Committee overrode him. You want to talk about something done by committee? This stuff is done by committee. You want to talk about cash grabs? This is a cash grab. You want to talk about substance lacking? This lacks substance. It lacks writing skills. It lacks innovation. They have to steal other people's ideas. You really want to talk about that? Do you really? Their trailers are formulaic. Their posters are formulaic. That don't bore the hell out of you? Oh no, it's a clash. Man, Spider-Man's there. And there's a clash between Iron Man and... Man, dude. It reminds me of the CW. They got Crisis on Earth X, where Earth X is this place where the Nazis actually took over and they actually rule. You got your big baddie, your armies with the Doomsday weapon. They came into the world where the Flash and they are. What is the Flash plan? We have to fight our way through. You know, the dead, the lame ass, the weak story writing, the weak script. Same thing like the MCU. Then they team up and then they clash. Just like the MCU. So you are thoroughly entertained by that stuff. You're not bored stiff. That bores me. I know that. I yawn because I know what's coming. Ridiculous cash grab. You serious, brother? You ain't serious, man. You ain't serious. An awesome war is about to jump off. Meanwhile, DCU movies at war with quality. See, exposing yourself. You're just talking about yourself right here. You're talking about yourself, man. Batman kills people now? Yeah, apparently the Avengers is okay. You argue the substance of them lame-ass movies? I don't have to argue it anymore. You obviously don't care about substance. A true fan wouldn't support bullshit just cause the initials are in the front. I may not have initials, but it definitely have Marvel. Oh my god. Yep. Same old. Yeah. Even the posters, man. Come on. Yep. Philip McGinnis. The man who loves Dildo Head. And the same story. I mean, all the movies have the same story. It begins with the Avengers, and they're all dealing with different things, and they got relationships with one another. Then the show up of the villain, or at least not the villain, but they get heads up about the villain coming. Then they get ready, as they say, we will fight, and make some kind of plan, to defend themselves. The plan doesn't work all the way through. They're broken at the end of their footnote, and then they find a way to win and push the villain back. It's the typical thing with comic book movies, but it's really taken to a whole other level of cheesiness. Their action scenes are even repetitive. I've seen the same scenes with Hela and Thor, the same fight action, same stuff in the Winter Soldier, same stuff in Civil War. It's the same stuff over and over again. They run, they spin in the air when they're jumping, they fly up in the air. It's the same fight sequences, and then they clash. There's always somebody against somebody. They're clashing, and you see them pushing. Iron Man was pushing. Steve Rogers was pushing his shield against Iron Man. It was Captain America clashing with Thor. There's always some jump-up clash. The Hulk clashing with Thor. Always jumping in the air to clash with one another. It's just a typical generic rubbish by now. The novelty of the Avengers is worn off for those of us who are not interested in that. And yeah, the media might pump it up. Yes, this is the greatest Marvel movie ever. And people might talk all kinds of good things about it. But that baloney don't fly no more. Infinity War is the next same old generic Avengers film. It's going to be the same shit all over again. It's not Black Panther. Black Panther's once in a lifetime with Marvel. So, Mr. Philip Ennis, you can go ahead and like Dildo Head and the same generic bullshit. I'm bored with that shit. I like innovation. I like a unique story. I like to know about concepts and ideas. But you can stay with the generic stuff. For all those people viewing, you know what it is. You guys have a great one.